Hi and welcome. It's time for another take two with Therese video for Altenew, and I'm using this beautiful Wispy Begonia stamp set and the coordinating dies. It's part of the new release, and what I thought I'd do today was create a bouquet in two ways. So what I'm starting off with is some stamping. I'm using my Misty to stamp out my images. My bouquet is going to consist of 2 of the main flowers and 3 leaves. Now there's actually 2 leaves in this set, so what I do is stamp out one of the leaves twice and then I can just manipulate it to create my bouquet. I'm going to do some simple colouring today using the artist markers. I want these flowers to be kind of white, but not. They have like a green tinge in them. So I've got one of the new artist marker colours. It's the bamboo, so it's the palest of the lime greens, and probably my favourite, one of my favourite ink colours from Altenew as well. I was really excited to see these colours come out in the artist marker pens. And also this zero, it's a colourless blender. It's a blender pen. So there's a couple of ways that I added the colour to the image. I either added the blender pen to the cardstock first and then added just a touch of the green colour to the centre of the petal of the flower and then molded it, what do you call it, made it lighter, blended it with the blending pen. That's what I did. I blended it out so that it just looked a bit lighter at the edges, and I really just focused on the inside of the petals of this flower, and in the center of the flower I did come in and actually make it a little bit darker. And how I did that was add the green marker again over top after everything had sort of dried, because that's the good thing with alcohol markers, is you can reactivate them sort of after they've dried. They are a little bit forgiving in that way. And you can actually darken a colour by adding another layer on top after it's dried. It's a really pretty green. I've had a few questions lately about the artist markers on my blog and YouTube channel. Just people are saying, like, do I really need to have these as well as the, you know, if they've got Copics or there's other brands out there of artist markers. The good thing about artist markers is they are compatible because they're all the alcohol inks. So the Altenew ones are unique in the way that they are specifically the Altenew ink colours as well. So if you really like to have coordinating colours throughout your projects, then this is a really good option, and they are quite affordable because you buy them in the packs of 12 and they have all the refills for them, and you can replace the nibs. So once you've bought them, you've got them. And I like the colours. Like, I like the Altenew colours, and I think these work really well. I like to use the brush tip end mostly, although there is a bullet end. So if you're not confident with your colouring or getting into those nooks and crannies, the bullet end can be really helpful for that. So it's not like you're buying something that you've already got. You're actually buying something that coordinates with what you already got. Does that make sense? Probably not. If you like the colours, then you get it. It doesn't really matter what brand you're buying. You buy what you want as long as you're going to use it. And that's what I've been doing lately. I've been using these artist markers a lot, especially since the new set came out. It's the E. It makes me so happy. It's got the grey, the orange and the green. You're going to see it here heaps. I'm sorry to say. Oh, I'm not sorry, because I'm enjoying it, and that's what these goodies are all about. Alright, so I'm just going to die cut all these images now, and I'm using the coordinating dies. I just use my low tack tape. This is just a 3M painter's tape to hold the coordinating dies in place while I run it through my die cutting machine. And these dies do leave that small border on the edge, which I think helps this image to pop. So for my first card, I thought I'd do a background of the pale grey cardstock. Yes, using the pale grey cardstock yet again, and I'm splattering some pure white ink spray onto that. I'm going to set that aside to dry because it does take quite a while I work on my second card. So this card, what I thought I'd do for my bouquet two ways is, one of the bouquets is layered. So that's obviously the one that I've done all the die cutting and colouring on. I'm only going to show you the colouring of one of those flowers and leaves because it's all the same for all the images. And for the second bouquet, I thought I'd do it as one layer design. So I am using the same layout for the bouquet, but this time I'm using stamp masking paper. And how you do that is you cut out the image from some masking paper. You can use a post-it note or even some copy paper. If you use some removable adhesive behind it, use whatever you've got, and then stamp your first image. So the image is going to be at the front of the bouquet, so that's my lower flower. I've stamped that first and added the stamp masking paper over top, and then I've stamped my second flower, added more stamp masking paper over top, and now I'm going to stamp out my leaves. So I've done the leaf that's going to be at the front first and masked that. Now the second leaf didn't quite fit on my panel very well in my MISTI, and the great thing about the MISTI is you can restamp if the images don't stamp perfectly the first time. So this time I actually used my creative corner, and when I use my creative corners I do actually come in with my magnets. I don't use my magnets a lot. I find because the stamps that I use are such high quality, I find that it shifts the paper and potentially I can miss stamp. So for me, I feel safer just moving the cardstock back into the corner just before I stamp, and that way I know it's in the same place every time. But when I do use the creative corners, I actually do use my magnets to hold the cardstock in place. That was kind of a backwards way of saying it, but you probably get what I mean. And this is what my bouquet is going to look like on both of my cards. The big reveal, I love this. How pretty is that? Right, so I've coloured up that bouquet. I didn't sit you through there. And this is one of the sentiments from the set. And one thing I do love about the one layer image is that I can actually stamp over my flowers. And that I think looks really pretty with the sentiment, to be sort of touching the images. I know it freaks some of you out, but I do like it. And I just popped that up on the front of a top fold card with some foam. And now obviously my second card is going to be very similar. I have another top fold card, and this time I'm adding my splattered panel directly to the front of my top fold card with some tape runner. I'm not touching those white bits flecks too much because they do take such a long time to dry. I've added a sentiment. This one's come from another newer set which is called Engagement Wishes. I thought these flowers would make either a really pretty sympathy card or a wedding card. So that's why I've made these two different versions with these particular sentiments. And all I'm going to do is look at my bouquet that I've created on the other card and actually copy that with some tape runner and some fun foam and layer the whole bouquet up. It probably would have been easier to do the layered card first and then copy that for the first one, but what I actually did do was lay it all out on a piece of paper so I knew where it was going to go anyway. But the reason I didn't make that card first was because I was waiting for the ink splats to dry. And they're my finished cards. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, have a great day. Bye.